Hello, this is Jaslyn Zamora. My group members Kieran, Ashley, Cesar, and Marco were incredibly excited to see how people are coping with and dealing with this pandemic. Such event can very well change and alter our mental well-being, especially since we are quarantined in our homes with a completely new lifestyle. Being quarantined means that we have little to no exposure to outside settings, so specifically we wanted to determine whether there is a correlation between outdoor activity and happiness during quarantine. Before starting on our topic of research, we wanted a little bit of background. We found a study that was done on April of 2019 by Science Daily. It suggested that 20 minutes a day of walking or simply just sitting in an outdoor setting will actually lower stress hormone levels. Since the coronavirus has led people to remain in isolation without human contact, people have certainly become distressed. Another study from the year 2008 titled, "Why is Nature Beneficial?" Author Mayer, SF France, and Dolliver concluded that going into nature helps individuals to resolve issues in their lives. So does time spent outside affect an individual's levels of happiness when quarantined due to COVID-19? We hypothesize that the more an individual goes out, the more likely they are to be happy. Whether it is to walk, run, stretch, or simply read a book, we think that an increase of happiness will ultimately happen during quarantine. Research similar to ours has suggested that this indeed is the case. In the article, Happiness is in Our Nature, author Nisbet, Zelensky, and Murphy aim to determine whether nature-relatedness would affect their subjective well-being. Similarly, they hypothesize that a disconnection from nature may have detrimental effects on human happiness. They too use Likert scales in one of their 3 tests, which is our main form of gathering data. And they also have the same end goals as us, which is to discover whether it'd be beneficial for healthcare providers to consider nature therapy to treat conditions like depression, anxiety, and stress. Another study by Olafsdottir, Schultz, Von Dick, and Einsteinson, done in 2018, examined the health benefits of walking in nature. The study took a different approach than ours. The way they conducted their experiment was by recruiting 90 volunteers from local universities. The participants were randomly allocated to participate in one of 3 40-minute activities, which was either walking in nature, walking on a treadmill, or watching a nature documentary. Their cortisol was measured using saliva during 2 time waves, one in January to March, which in that time had low examination periods, and again from April to May during a heavy examination period. They found that going for a walk in nature can lower the stress response for people. The hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and adrenal glands noticed a significant change in stress, ultimately making the walk in nature situation more beneficial in reducing stress. Our participants consisted of a total of 285 individuals. 205 identified being female, 78 male, 1 non-binary, and 1 gender fluid. We recruited individuals by sending out a survey via social media using different types of platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. Of those people who took the survey, 36% were Latinx, 35% were white, 3.2% were Middle Eastern or North African, 3% were Black or African American, 1.4% were Pacific Islander or Native Hawaiian, 0.35% were American Indian or Alaskan Native, and 3% preferred not to say. The way we conducted our research was by, like stated before, linking a survey on all our social media accounts. Participants were instructed to take the survey to their best and most honest ability. There were 3 sections of questions for participants to answer. Section 1 consisted of questions that aimed to track the participants' outdoor activity level during this last month of quarantine. An example question would be, how often do you go outside daily? Section 2 consisted of questions asking the participants to rank the frequency they feel specific emotions during the last month of quarantine. For example, how frequently have you felt happy or sad or anxious or motivated? Or, how does the following make you feel? Section 3 consisted of demographic questions about the participants themselves. For example, these questions asked what the individual's race, gender, and sexuality was. All responses remained completely anonymous, and demographic questions were strictly used for data collection purposes only. Ultimately, our results did in fact prove our hypothesis was correct. There was a strong correlation between outdoor time and happiness. Our total positive emotion mean was 22.01 with a standard deviation of 9.1, and our total negative emotion mean was 58.94 with a standard deviation of 19.95. These numbers essentially mean that more people had more negative emotions about being stuck at home because of quarantine than positive emotions. On the survey, most people spent their outside time walking, followed by 20.7% playing with their pets, then an 18.2% simply sitting outside and enjoying nature, and 14.6% enjoyed doing strenuous exercise like running or jogging, 12% did yard maintenance, 6.5% did gardening, and 3.9% chose other. This graph shows the amount of people who claim to be happy when outside on a scale of 0 to 5. And this graph shows the amount of people who claim to be sad when outside on a scale of 0 to 5. According to a study from 2020 from China, the coronavirus is the greatest challenge facing mankind. The article COVID-19, Fear and the Future, an Attachment Perspective by Clinical Neuropsychiatry 2020 predicts that there will be a lot of fear and close strict monitoring of people's health, which will likely affect their mental and well-being for a long time to come. Our study, which pertains to outdoor activity and nature bringing about happiness during a pandemic like this, is topical and relatable not just to everyone in the US, but everyone in this planet. Everyone is experiencing quarantine at the moment, which creates this unusual and unhealthy situation for many of us. Similar to other research, our results coincide with researchers studying similar fields, creating a strong emphasis on what is happening to all of us during quarantine. Also, similar to many studies, we are faced with problems or controversy with our topic. A limitation are that some people genuinely prefer to stay indoors and hardly seek nature for comfort. This messes with our data because we seek to find a correlation specifically to see whether quarantine sadness is caused by lack of nature exposure. Another drawback is that some people may have not gotten to take the survey since we only distributed it via social media. For example, maybe a different demographic didn't contribute the experiences. This could have been people of older generations or older ages who are unfamiliar with social media or don't use it. This certainly limits our ability to accurately examine data from all perspectives, which ultimately makes the study more accurate. These are all the references that we used. Thank you for your time and attention. We hope you stay happy and healthy.